morning to one and all. Yesterday we have done the calculation of range and problems of range. The advantage of the range is that it is very simple and easy to calculate. It is used in statistical quality control techniques. But the disadvantage is that it is considering only extreme values, the lowest value and the highest value. It is not based on all values in the given data set, and it is highly affected by extreme values. Let's consider an example: 5, 7, 9, 11. Now, if I have to calculate the range of this, 11 minus 5 I will be taking, which will be 6. But if I add two more values, 13, 3, then my range will totally change. So it is highly affected by extreme values, which is the disadvantage, and therefore we have the another measure of dispersion, which is quartile deviation, to overcome that disadvantage. What is quartile in general? Quartile always means it is 25%. Quartile means 25%. So in case of quartile deviation or quartiles, it divides the data into four equal parts. That is, in the case of given data set, we divide the data into four equal parts: Q1, Q2, Q3. What is Q1? Q1 is the value which has 25% of the values below it and 75% of the values above it, which is your lower quartile. Then we have median. Median, as you all know, it divides the data into half, that is 50%. So 50% of the data will be above this, 50% of the data will be below this. Then we have Q3, which is your upper quartile. So upper quartile always will have 75% of the data below it and 25% of the data above it. So like this, a data is divided into four equal parts in case of quartile deviation. And how do we calculate all this? Now, for your quartile deviation explanation, how to calculate, I'll show it with the sums. The difference between Q3 and Q1, the range of the quartiles, is your interquartile range, which is Q3 minus Q1. The range of the quartiles covered is calculated in case of interquartile range: Q3 minus Q1, upper quartile minus your lower quartile, will tell us the range of the uh, quartiles, and here only the between 50% is considered and remaining values are eliminated. And what is quartile deviation? Q3 minus Q1 divided by 2. As it is dividing interquartile range by 2, it is also called as semi-interquartile range. And coefficient of quartile deviation will be Q3 minus Q1 divided by Q3 plus Q1. And quartile deviation is your absolute measure of dispersion, whereas coefficient of quartile deviation is your relative measure of dispersion. How to calculate your quartile deviation values? Let's see with the example. Find quartile deviation, interquartile range, and coefficient of quartile deviation. So age in years, they have given you totally 10 values. The first step in case of these problems is to do your array. Array is arrangement of data in the ascending or descending order, but in case of quartile deviation, we always take in the ascending order. So Q1 will be 1. This is quartile 1. So here we are taking 1. If this is Q3, then we take here 3. Please remember this. So 1 into n plus 1 divided by fourth value. So 1 into totally there are 10 values plus 1 divided by 4. Your answer will be 2.75 value. 2.75 means the value is somewhere between second and third value. Therefore, what we are doing, second value plus 0.75, difference between third and second will be taken. So second value is your 11 here, 11 plus 0.75 into third value 12. So 12 minus 1 will be 1. 1 into 0.75 will be 1 itself. 0.75 itself. So 11 plus 0.75 will be 11.75. And calculating your Q3, which will be 3. This is third quartile. So therefore 3 into n plus 1 value divided by 4. So this will be 3 into 10 plus 1 divided by 4, which will be 8.5 value. So again, even this is between somewhere 8th and ninth value, and hence it will be 8th value plus 0.25 into ninth minus 8th value. 15 plus 0.25 will be, and then here the ninth value in the given data set is your 17 and 8th value is your 15. So here it will be 17 minus 15. So 15 plus 0.25 into 17 minus 15 will be 15 plus 0.25 into 2, which will be 0.5. 15.5 is your Q3. Now your interquartile range will be the difference between Q3 minus Q1. Q3 is 15.5 minus 11.5. 3.75 is your interquartile range. Quartile deviation is the difference between interquartile range divided by 2, where your value will be 1.875 if you substitute these values. And again remember, this is your absolute measure and coefficient is your relative measure. If they ask you in question directly like this, don't get confused. And coefficient of quartile deviation will be Q3 minus Q1 divided by Q3 plus Q1. Substitute these values, your answer will be 0.1376. Now girls, before when the notes was circulated, I have solved 2 problems and given 2 problems for practice with answers. Along with that, below I am giving you 2 more problems to solve without answers. By evening, solve these problems and let me know the answers what you have got. Later I will tell you it's correct or not. So the problem solved in the video circulated in material, plus this totally we are doing around 7 problems for quartile deviation for individual series. Thank you girls.